They tell you to control your emotions. They tell you to accept fate. They tell you to live according to nature. But what if nature itself is chaos? What if acceptance is not wisdom, but surrender? What if the peace you seek is simply the death of your will? Nietzsche saw this, and he rejected it with fury. In this exploration, we confront one of philosophy's most brutal intellectual battles, Nietzsche's attack on Stoicism. Not a polite disagreement, not a respectful debate, a philosophical war. Why did the man who championed amor fati despise those who preached acceptance? Why did the philosopher of affirmation condemn those who sought tranquility? What did Nietzsche see in Stoicism that repulsed him so deeply? And what does his rejection reveal about the human condition itself? This is not about choosing sides. This is about understanding the fundamental tension between two visions of life, one that seeks to transcend suffering and one that demands we embrace it as fuel for becoming. Which vision speaks to you? The Stoics offered humanity something irresistible, peace in a chaotic world, not through conquest, not through wealth, but through philosophy, through reason, through acceptance of what cannot be changed. At the heart of Stoicism lies a single commandment: live according to nature. But what does this mean? For the Stoics, nature was not the wild forest or the raging ocean. Nature was the rational order of the universe itself. The cosmos, they believed, was governed by divine reason, a logos that permeated all things. To live according to nature meant to align your will with this cosmic order, to accept your role in the grand design, to surrender personal desires and emotions that conflict with universal law. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wrote in his Meditations that everything happens for a reason, and that reason is rational. Epictetus, the former slave who became one of history's greatest teachers, taught that we must distinguish between what is in our control and what is not. Our thoughts, our judgments, our responses, these we control. Everything else, our bodies, our reputations, external events, these belong to fate. The wise person, the Stoic sage, accepts this division completely. They do not rage against what they cannot change. They do not grieve for what is lost. They remain tranquil, undisturbed, free. This is the promise: freedom through acceptance, power through surrender, peace through emotional detachment. The Stoics called this state apatheia, not apathy in the modern sense, but freedom from destructive passions, freedom from fear, from grief, from anger, from desire. The Stoic does not feel less. The Stoic feels correctly. They respond to events with reason, not emotion. They see the death of a loved one and say, "This was always going to happen. I knew they were mortal. I accept this." They face insult and remain calm. They face poverty and remain dignified. They face death itself and remain unshaken. To the ancient world, this was revolutionary. In a time of wars, plagues, and tyrannies, Stoicism offered a philosophy of resilience. It told people that even if you cannot control your circumstances, you can control your mind. And if you control your mind, you are free. No emperor can enslave you. No tragedy can break you. You become, in the words of Epictetus, invincible. But there is a darker question beneath this beautiful promise. If nature is rational, if the universe is ordered, if everything happens according to divine reason, then why is there so much suffering? Why is there cruelty? Why is there waste? Why does nature destroy without purpose? Why do children die? Why do the wicked prosper? Why does chaos seem to reign more often than order? The Stoics answered, "We simply do not understand the full picture. We see only fragments. The universe is rational. Even if we cannot perceive the rationality, we must trust in the logos, we must accept. But Nietzsche looked at this answer and saw something else entirely. He saw a philosophy that could not face reality as it is. He saw a mind desperately trying to impose meaning where there is none. He saw not wisdom, but fear disguised as virtue. And so he declared war. Nietzsche did not critique Stoicism gently. He accused it of intellectual fraud, of self-deception, of tyranny disguised as liberation. In Beyond Good and Evil, he writes with surgical precision, "You desire to live according to nature? O you noble Stoics, what fraud of words! Imagine a being like nature, boundlessly extravagant, boundlessly indifferent, without purpose or consideration, without pity or justice, at once fruitful and barren and uncertain. Imagine indifference as a power. How could you live in accordance with such indifference?" This is the heart of Nietzsche's attack. The Stoics claim to live according to nature, but nature, as Nietzsche sees it, is nothing like the Stoic vision of rational order. Nature is chaos. Nature is waste. Nature is cruelty without purpose. Nature creates 1,000 seeds and lets 999 die. Nature builds entire species and then erases them. Nature feels nothing. It cares for nothing. It moves without reason, without justice, without pity. How then can the Stoics claim to live according to this nature? They cannot. What they call nature is not nature at all. It is their own projection, their own ideal, their own will dressed up as cosmic law. Nietzsche continues, living, is that not precisely wanting to be other than this nature? Is living not valuating, preferring, being unjust, being limited, wanting to be different? Here is the paradox. To live is to impose value. To live is to say this matters more than that. This is good, that is bad. This should exist, that should not. Life itself is an act of will, of preference, of judgment. Life is not acceptance of what is. Life is the struggle to become what is not yet. The Stoics, Nietzsche argues, want to escape this struggle. They want to dissolve their individual will into a universal will. They want to become indifferent like nature, but this is a lie, because they are not indifferent at all. They prefer tranquility over chaos. They value reason over passion. They judge some responses as wise and others as foolish. They are in fact imposing their will, but pretending they are not. They are commanding themselves, be like nature, but nature does not command anything. Nature simply is. And here is Nietzsche's devastating conclusion. Your pride wishes to prescribe your morality, your ideal, to nature, even to nature, and to incorporate it therein. You demand that nature should be nature according to the Stoa, and you wish to make all existence exist only after your own image. The Stoics are not following nature. They are tyrannizing nature. They are tyrannizing themselves. They are creating an ideal, tranquility, rationality, acceptance, and then declaring that this ideal is the law of the universe. But it is not. It is simply their preference, their will to power, and they lack the honesty to admit it. For Nietzsche, all philosophy is will to power. Every thinker, whether they admit it or not, is trying to impose their vision of what life should be. The difference is that some philosophers are honest about this. They say, this is what I value, this is what I believe life should become. And others, like the Stoics, hide their will behind the mask of cosmic necessity. They say, I am not imposing anything. I am simply following nature, following reason, following truth. But truth for Nietzsche is not something we discover. Truth is something we create. And the Stoics, whether they realize it or not, are creating their truth, their nature, their cosmos, and then kneeling before it as if it existed independently of them. This is the fraud, this is the self-deception, and this is why Nietzsche rejected Stoicism with such intensity, not because it was wrong to value tranquility or self-mastery, but because it lacked the courage to own its values. It lacked the honesty to say, "This is my will, this is what I choose." Instead, it said, "This is nature's will, this is the law of the universe, I am merely obeying." And to Nietzsche, this obedience, this surrender of individual will to an imagined cosmic will, was not freedom, it was slavery. But the question remains, if the Stoics were wrong about nature, were they also wrong about emotions, about suffering, about how we should live? What do you think about Nietzsche's accusation so far? Does he have a point, or is he misunderstanding the Stoic project? Is all philosophy really just will to power in disguise? Share your thoughts in the comments. I want to know where you stand in this battle of ideas. If Nietzsche despised the Stoic vision of nature, he despised their vision of emotion even more, because here the conflict becomes personal. Here we confront the question that defines human existence. What do we do with suffering? The Stoics answered, transcend it, master it, become indifferent to it, achieve apatheia, a state where external events cannot disturb your inner peace. If someone insults you, you remain calm because you recognize that their opinion is not in your control. If you lose your wealth, you remain tranquil because you never truly owned it. If someone you love dies, you grieve rationally, accepting that all things are impermanent. You do not let passion cloud your judgment. You do not let emotion destabilize your soul. This sounds wise, this sounds strong, but Nietzsche saw it differently. He saw it as weakness disguised as strength. He saw it as life denying itself. Nietzsche believed that suffering was not something to be transcended, it was something to be used, transformed, affirmed. Without suffering, there is no growth. Without struggle, there is no strength. Without chaos, there is no creation. The greatest human achievements, art, philosophy, courage, love, all emerge from the depths of suffering, not despite suffering, but because of it. He writes, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." But this is not optimism. This is not the shallow affirmation of modern self-help. This is tragic wisdom, the recognition that life is brutal, that existence is suffering, and the only path to greatness is through the fire, not around it. The Stoics wanted to numb themselves, to become, as Nietzsche put it, indifferent as nature. But Nietzsche asked, what kind of life is that? A life without passion is not a life at all. It is a shadow, a ghost, a living death. Passion for Nietzsche was not the enemy of wisdom. Passion was the fuel of becoming. Yes, passion can be destructive. Yes, emotions can cloud judgment, but they can also illuminate, they can drive, they can create. To eliminate passion is to eliminate the very force that makes transformation possible. Consider anger. The Stoics would say, anger is irrational, it achieves nothing, it disturbs your peace, let it go. But Nietzsche would say, anger reveals what you value. Anger shows you where injustice exists. Anger, properly channeled, becomes the force that changes the world. Without anger, there is no rebellion. Without rebellion, there is no progress. Consider grief. The Stoics would say, grief is attachment to what was always impermanent. Accept the loss and move on. But Nietzsche would say, grief is the measure of love. To grieve deeply is to have loved deeply. To refuse grief is to refuse love itself. And what is life without love? Consider desire. The Stoics would say, desire leads to suffering because we cannot always get what we want. Eliminate desire and you eliminate suffering. But Nietzsche would say, desire is life. To desire is to reach beyond yourself, to become more than you are. Without desire, you stagnate, you decay, you die spiritually, long before your body stops breathing. The Stoic sage in Nietzsche's eyes was not a model of wisdom. The Stoic sage was a corpse, a being who had silenced everything that makes life worth living. They had achieved tranquility, yes, but at what cost? They had murdered their own vitality. They had amputated their own soul. Nietzsche called this the will to nothingness, the desire to escape life by denying its fundamental character. Life is suffering. Life is struggle. Life is chaos. The Stoics could not accept this, so they constructed a philosophy that promised them peace, but only by asking them to stop truly living. And here is the deepest irony. The Stoics spoke of strength, they spoke of virtue, they spoke of courage, but Nietzsche asked, what is courageous about running from suffering? What is strong about numbing yourself to pain? What is virtuous about refusing to feel? True courage for Nietzsche was not the absence of suffering, it was the affirmation of suffering, the willingness to say, yes, life is brutal, yes, existence is pain, and yet I choose it, I embrace it, I love it, not because it is good, but because it is mine. This is what Nietzsche called amor fati, love of fate, but not in the Stoic sense of passive acceptance, in the Nietzschean sense of active affirmation. To will your own life, with all its suffering, with all its chaos, with all its tragedy, and to will it again and again eternally. The Stoics wanted to escape the wheel of suffering. Nietzsche wanted to embrace it so completely that he would choose to live it over and over forever. But now we face a paradox, because both Nietzsche and the Stoics speak of accepting fate. Both speak of affirming what is. So how is he different from the Stoics? I want to take a moment to thank you, truly, thank you for staying with me this far. These are not easy ideas, they are not comfortable, but they are necessary. And the fact that you're still here, still thinking, still questioning, tells me that you are someone who values depth over distraction, someone who seeks truth over comfort, and I want you to know the best is still to come. The next 2 chapters will take everything we've discussed and push it even further. We are about to confront the deepest paradox in Nietzsche's philosophy, and by the end, you will see this entire conflict in a completely new light. Stay with me. Here is the paradox that haunts this entire discussion. Both Nietzsche and the Stoics speak of accepting fate. Both speak of affirming what is. Both reject resentment toward reality. So why did Nietzsche despise Stoicism? The answer lies in the difference between resignation and affirmation, between dissolving the self and intensifying it, between escaping life and becoming life. The Stoic accepts fate by transcending individual desire. They say, my personal will is insignificant, what I want does not matter, only cosmic reason matters, only the universal will matters. I align myself with this universal will, and in doing so, I find peace. I become part of the whole. I dissolve my ego into the logos. This is acceptance through surrender. The individual will is seen as the source of suffering, so the Stoic quiets it, silences it, merges it with something greater. The result is tranquility, but it is the tranquility of non-being, of ceasing to be a distinct, willing, desiring individual. Nietzsche rejects this completely. For him, the individual will is not the problem. The individual will is the highest expression of life itself. To dissolve the will is not wisdom. It is suicide, spiritual suicide. Amor fati for Nietzsche is not about surrendering your will. It is about owning your will so completely that you affirm everything that has shaped it, every suffering, every joy, every tragedy, every triumph. You do not say, I accept this because it is rational. You say, I love this because it made me who I am, and I would choose to become who I am over and over eternally. This is the doctrine of eternal returns, Nietzsche's ultimate test of affirmation. Imagine that you had to live your life again exactly as it was. Every moment, every pain, every mistake, every humiliation, every loss, again and again, forever. Could you bear it? Could you say yes to it? Could you love it? The Stoic would say, I accept it because I understand it is part of the cosmic order. But Nietzsche would say, that is not enough. You do not truly love your fate if you only accept it because you think it serves some higher purpose. You only truly love your fate if you would choose it even if it served no purpose at all. Even if the universe is meaningless, even if your suffering achieves nothing, would you still choose it? Would you still affirm it? This is the difference. The Stoic seeks peace by aligning with universal reason. Nietzsche seeks power by affirming a chaotic cosmos. The Stoic dissolves the self into universal reason. Nietzsche intensifies the self until it can bear the weight of existence without needing any justification. For the Stoic, freedom is freedom from desire, freedom from suffering, freedom from the chaos of individual will. For Nietzsche, freedom is the power to will your own existence, to create your own meaning, to impose your own values, not because the universe demands it, but because you demand it. And this is why Nietzsche saw Stoicism as a form of nihilism, not the active nihilism that destroys old values to create new ones, but the passive nihilism that denies life by denying will. The Stoics claimed to affirm the cosmos, but they could only do so by denying their own individuality, by erasing their own desires, by becoming no one. Nietzsche wanted to become someone, fully, intensely, unapologetically, even if it meant suffering, even if it meant chaos, even if it meant standing alone. This is the paradox resolved. Both philosophies speak of acceptance, but one accepts by becoming less, the other accepts by becoming more. Which do you choose? So, was Nietzsche right to attack Stoicism, or did he misunderstand it? And more importantly, what does this battle teach us about how we should live? Let us be honest, Nietzsche's critique is brutal, but it is not without flaws. He accuses the Stoics of projecting their values onto nature, but is he not doing the same? When Nietzsche says that nature is chaotic, wasteful, and indifferent, is he not also interpreting nature through his own lens? When he says that life is will to power, is he not also imposing his philosophy onto existence? The truth is, we cannot escape interpretation. We cannot see reality as it is, untouched by our values. Whether we call nature rational or chaotic, ordered or indifferent, we are always projecting. The question is not whether we project. The question is whether we are honest about it. And here Nietzsche has a point. The Stoics spoke as if they were simply following nature, as if their philosophy was not a choice but a discovery, as if cosmic reason was an objective fact, not a human interpretation. Nietzsche demanded honesty. He demanded that philosophers admit, this is what I value, this is what I choose to believe, not because the universe commands it, but because I command it. In this sense, Nietzsche's rejection of Stoicism is not a rejection of self-mastery, it is not a rejection of discipline, it is a rejection of self-deception, the rejection of hiding your will behind the mask of universal law. But we must also ask, what is the cost of Nietzsche's philosophy? If we embrace suffering, if we intensify passion, if we refuse to seek peace, do we risk destroying ourselves? Nietzsche himself went mad. His life was marked by isolation, illness, and anguish. Was this the price of his philosophy, or was it simply the tragedy of his existence? The Stoics offer something Nietzsche cannot: stability, community, a framework for navigating life without being consumed by it. They offer a way to endure suffering without glorifying it, a way to maintain dignity in the face of chaos. And for many people throughout history, this has been enough, more than enough. It has been salvation. But Nietzsche offers something the Stoics cannot: the permission to become, the permission to want, the permission to struggle, the permission to create your own meaning, even if the universe offers none. He tells you that your individual will matters, that your desires are not weaknesses to be suppressed, but forces to be channeled, that your suffering is not meaningless, but the very condition of transformation. So which philosophy is right? Neither. Both. It depends on what you need. It depends on who you are. It depends on what you're trying to become. If you are drowning in chaos, Stoicism can save you. It can give you the tools to stabilize your mind, to regain control, to find peace in a world that offers none. It can teach you that not everything requires a reaction, that not every emotion serves you, that you can choose your responses even when you cannot choose your circumstances. But if you are suffocating in safety, Nietzsche can free you. He can remind you that comfort is not the same as meaning, that peace is not the same as purpose, that a life without struggle is not a life at all, but a slow death. He can teach you that you are allowed to want more, to risk more, to become more. The danger of Stoicism is that it can become resignation. The danger of Nietzsche is that it can become recklessness. The wisdom is knowing when to accept and when to assert, when to surrender and when to fight, when to quiet your will and when to unleash it. What Nietzsche's rejection teaches us is this: there is no single way to live, no cosmic law that dictates how you should respond to existence. You are not bound by nature, you are not bound by reason, you are not bound by fate. You are bound only by the limits of your courage. And the question is not whether you should follow Stoicism or Nietzsche. The question is, what kind of life are you trying to create, and which philosophy serves that creation? Nietzsche rejected Stoicism not because he despised discipline or self-mastery, but because he saw in it a hidden resentment against life itself. He believed the Stoic sage, in seeking to numb himself to suffering, was secretly declaring life a disease. And perhaps he was right, or perhaps the Stoics understood something Nietzsche could not accept, that power without peace is madness, and that affirmation without serenity is chaos. The question remains, do you seek to master life or to transform it? What do you think? Was Nietzsche's critique valid? Can Stoicism and Nietzschean philosophy coexist, or are they fundamentally at war? Share your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear which philosophy resonates with you and why. If this exploration challenged your thinking, subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into philosophy, psychology, and the human condition. And if you want to continue this journey, the next recommended video will take you even deeper into Nietzsche's philosophy of power, suffering, and becoming. Don't miss it.